Start talking now about the history of Palitoy and show you around the factory, certain areas where things happened. Okay, I came here in 1967, the year after Action Man, obviously, was launched. And as you know, it's just like G.I. Joe in Palitoy packaging, wasn't it? And then I got into it and started designing stuff. This site has virtually not changed since I left in 1984. So I'm going to show you around and tell you a bit about the history of the company. Okay, yep. So we're going to walk around here on this nice sunny day.
Yep. It's the first time we've done it in sunshine, isn't it, Bob? First time we've done it in sunshine, isn't it?
That's the factory there, as you can see. We'll come around here. This is part of the factory as well. Do you know Action Force?
Yeah.
That was made in that building. And Play-Doh was made in there as well. Play-Doh.
Play-Doh.
Made in that building.
Oh, okay.
And when Hasbro closed this down in 1994?
84. 85.
No,
86.
1994 I think it was. The last thing being made in here, because nothing else was being made, it was basically a warehouse. They were making Play-Doh in there. And they sent the machine over to Southern Ireland, down to Waterford. So if we go around here, I'm going to show you where I first started. Opened up in 1966 when Action Man came out. And it was really money from Tiny Tears and Tressie. Those are the three toys that really made Palitoy. Tressie in 64, Tiny Tears in 65 and Action Man in 66.
So was that me in the offices?
Bill Pugh, my boss, was in that office there. He was design director, well, he was design manager then, and went on to later, and emeritus to later. And these two windows was the dress design department. Because in those days they made lots and lots of dolls, and it was like a seasonal thing. There was a sort of spring collection, a summer collection, and a winter, Christmas collection. A lot of it went to mail order people and stuff like that. So, they had like three sessions in the year, and they used to make lots and lots of different dolls and lots and lots of dresses for the dolls, So there was a machinist and about 4 designers, dress designers. Green plaque. Alan can tell you the story about the green plaque. The green plaque is run by Leicestershire County Council. They put green plaques up, I think about 6 every year. I don't know whether it's stopped there, but they put 6 up and put them on buildings where people used to live or a special place, And I applied for it. For the this door here is the boiler room and everything. But we used to make models down there for Action Man. Things like the Session Dog team was made in there.
That must have been a bit warm, wasn't it, in the boiler room?
Yeah, well, in the winter it was lovely.
Oh yeah.
Because we didn't have a model shop in those days. But our office was this is our office just here. Those 2 windows. The toilet's just here. That small window and design office. So we used to come out of our offices, back through here, down there, into the workshop to make things. This would, in those days, in '67, this would have been marketing on the top and sales and administration down the bottom. So if we go up here, so it's a business centre now. You can see all the different companies are in here. Now this building here, as we got bigger as a company, the design department got bigger. I was taking on more designers, and we took on engineers and a safety lab and all things like that. And we moved out from that palace and we moved into this building. Now this building was the original building in 1937, and it was access from Owen Street across there. And it used to be a boxing place and a snooker hall and dance. All the factories were taken over by the war effort, weren't they? The one in Leicester was taken over for war effort. This one was as well. Now there's a story about this because Castle Bromwich in Birmingham were making Spitfires, and they got heavily bombed. And they sent a team over here to Colville to make the undercarriages, and they were spreading the bits out around different factories. And one night, the team were coming back to their digs on Owen Street after being in the pub about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. It was dark. They heard this sort of whistling sound, and that was it. They went to bed, they came out, and all down there, where those houses are now, was all rough land. I think they used to have a circus on it in the old days and things like that. But they came out, and somebody noticed like a depression like that in the ground, shallow depression. Didn't think anything of it. Anyway, 18 months later, the cinema in here, the Rex, were showing films for civil defence and that, and they were showing bombs and other things, and they showed these big metal rings that went round bombs. This bloke said, "I've got one of those on my mantelpiece." So where'd you get that from? Oh, on that bit of ground there where that depression was. So they called out the bomb squad, and they came out, they dug down 40 feet, and they came out with this massive great bomb. The money went to the Red Cross. Now this bit here used to be factory. You can see the footings here, look. This used to be factory. Because in this area was all the, it was blow molding, you know, scorpion tank.
Yeah.
That was in here, being blow molding. And I've been working with Colville Heritage Society over the last few years because of the 100th year in 2019, 1919 to 2019. We had a big exhibition in Woodyard with all the toys going over 100 years, and we've also been doing interviewing people that used to work at Palitoy, getting their memories down, you know, on film and on audio. And we've been doing we're going to make a documentary film, and we've been going all over the place. We've been in here in the factory here filming, talking about it, and we've been in the warehouse as well, talking about the warehouse. So Colville Heritage Society, they've got a website now, but it's got a Palitoy section, but it's not very full yet. We're still working on putting stuff on it. So this is the factory. When the Americans took over, they took over in '68 because Castlewood won it. Well, it wasn't Castlewood then. They would BXL, which was British Sign Light Limited, was taken over by another company, and they had Bakelite company as well. So they changed British Sign Light Limited to Bakelite Sign Light Limited. And they wanted to get out of toys and concentrate in Leicester on blown bottles. That was what they were specialising in Leicester, you know, squeezy bottles and those type of things, and even great big 20-gallon blown bottles for chemicals. They wanted to concentrate on that and sell the toys. And they got a guy called Miles Fletcher in from Fisons to really build it up. And they told him that they wanted to make money out of toys. They didn't tell him what their motives were. And he took on Bob Simpson, who was in the sales and merchandising department in Leicester, as his marketing manager. And they were the ones that got Tressie Tiny Tears Action Man, built it up. They changed it from a £300,000 turnover before to 3 million by the time they decided they want to get rid of the toys. They got something there. They probably wanted the money for developing Leicester. Anyway, that's when General Mills came in. They had Kenner, they had Parker Games, they had some other companies. They had what's called a venture group, because they were a big food company. They started at the end of the 19th century with one mill, bought more mills, developed went into convenience foods like Betty Crocker and things like that, and started buying restaurants, because that was a natural thing. But they had this venture group, was investigating going into other areas where they could make money. because food is just, the turnover of food. Well, if you're a shareholder in food, you get a nice little return at the end of the day, nothing big. And they were looking at companies which we can get big money from, which Toys was. And so they bought Palitoy to get into Europe. And then they bought Dennis Fisher in 67. They bought them in 71. They bought Chad Valley in 78 when Star Wars came out. So they were building up. They bought Meccano France, Clipper, one in Spain, one in Germany, and so on. But towards the end of the 80s, they were sort of going global, and it started with Star Wars. Really, Star Wars was the first global toy that went all around the world. The film went all around the world, the toys followed it, and they could see that they needed to go global, and they started off European. So with Star Wars, they started doing multi-link packaging without the logo, so there was no Palitoy logo, no German logo, French logo, so they could move stuff around Europe. So it wasn't selling in Britain, they could move it over to Germany. So they started everything then to move. We were making things in Hong Kong when I came, because Tressie was made in Hong Kong and stuff like that. And then the Americans came in. They started taking Bob Simpson, who became managing director after Miles Fletcher left, because he didn't want to work for the Americans in '68. He cleared off to Metoy. Bob Simpson came in as managing director right through the '70s, and he built it up. He was working with people like Mego and other companies, taking things under license. Of course, the Americans, when they started getting involved towards the end of the 80s more, they were competitors. So eventually Action Man went back to Hasbro. We got rid of Mego, so all that stuff went. They didn't like mainline railways because it was too parochial, couldn't sell that in Europe, so that went. And they started bringing things like Care Bears and Strawberry Shortcake, stuff like that. Trivial Pursuit came in, and it was just really, they didn't need the warehouse, so they didn't need the factory because they weren't making stuff. All this went, they weren't making stuff, so this became the warehouse for what it was, and they sold the warehouse in Ashby, and then they had a big problem with video games. Video games at the end of the 70s was all in the arcades, and then the toy companies thought, oh, if you make toys like this, and chips are getting cheaper and cheaper, and General Mills got into it, and it was Parker Games that were making the games to go onto other people's machines. They back-engineered the machines so they could make the games. They did it all legally. But then there was the great video games crash in 1983. General Mills Toy Group lost $10 million. They lost a load of money in Mexico when they were trying to make stuff in Mexico, and that all went tits up. And General Mills food people thought, crikey me, I want to get out of this. Lost a lot of money. So they put it on the stock exchange in New York as Kenner Parker. So Palitoy sign came down here. Kenner Parker sign went up. Went on for about a year and a half. They decided to get out because all the shareholders got equivalent shares in their back pocket, so they flogged them. And then Tonka came in and bought Kenner Parker. Tonka bought it the Friday before Black Monday, so their share price went bonk like that straight away. And they struggled and struggled and struggled to service the banks because they borrowed a lot of money from the banks. Eventually Hasbro came in and bought this, bought everything. And they carried on for a little while, as I said, and they sold it to Hammond Grange, who own this now, as a business centre. And then when Alan was looking for the 50th anniversary of Action Man, he said, can you find somewhere in Colville? So we got it in Colville. And I was looking around all around here for places, and I thought, I'll go back to the factory. First time I'd been back since '84. I went in there, saw Dave, said, oh yeah, I like Action Man. He's a bit of a fan of me. we had the 50th anniversary Action Man show here, which Alan's now carrying on twice a year.
Yep.
So at the peak, Bob, how big was the workforce?
The workforce at the peak in about 1977-8ish time was about 1,000. That includes a big sales team, you know, and everything. Not just the factory, but everything. And, any other questions?
So it doesn't sound like a lot of people considering how much stuff was produced, does it?
Yeah. I could tell you a lot more, but
Was there a factory
my voice is
shop on
going.
site?
Sorry?
The only reason I stopped filming is my phone stopped recording.
Sorry?
Was there a factory shop on site?
Oh yeah. We had another building. It was called Baker Street. It was the old Co-op bakery. And we had a building on the end of it, and that was called Baker Street. And that they used to send the mainland railway from there, ship it out, and they had the factory shop there. But they also had the star scheme for Action Man.
I was going to say, Bob, that's why I come up and bought all the stuff when you closed, mate.
Yeah. Did you go up there,
Yeah,
Baker
I
Street?
come to the shop.
Yeah.
And there's a guy there who was great, took me out the back with all racking.
That's
and
it.
I bought like 30, 40 of the mounted police outfits.
Did you?
Yeah, and about 40, 50 actually in the brown boxes.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
back in 84, 85 when they closed.
Yeah, so that's the start scheme went from there, and what else went from there? There's all sorts of things, the odds and bits, you know. Oh, the display department was down there, because every year we'd have a toy fair. It started off when I came in Brechin, the end of January, the last Saturday in January. So the 29th of January was Action Man Day. The 30th of January would be Action Force Day. So it's always the last weekend in January. So the retailers are selling at Christmas. They have a couple of weeks to get over it all. And then they come down to the toy fair at Brighton. And then it ended up went to NEC for a couple of years, and I think it's now at Olympia, where it was called. But the display department was down at Baker Street, and Brian Turner, he was the display manager. He came just after me, a couple of years after me, and he used to do all that. He used to organise all that, and he'd go out on journeys to different places around with to put up displays in like Newcastle or Manchester, and even up in the Cairngorms at Aviemore. He used to put one up in there. Sometimes I'd go with him. At the beginning, I'd go with him and open that. And then he'd have stock. The salesman would have stock rooms where he'd put little displays up for them, and he'd put windows in. One big window he had was in Blackpool. He had a big window in Blackpool. A big store there. I don't know what the store was.
It was Lewis's.
Was it Lewis's? Yeah, probably was. Yeah.
I've seen a photograph of one where they've done like the royal coach with horses and lifeguards.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Somebody posted it on one of the
There
groups
was,
online.
there was a big one in Selfridges in London. They did the 21st,
Yeah.
21st Lancers. There must have been 30, 40 figures. I
We
remember
put
as a
one
child
in
going and seeing it.
I went with him to put one in the Bonington Hotel on Tottenham Court Road. Big one there, in the hotel there. And yeah, so then he came over to design because he got married. He got married to Bill Q's secretary, and Bill didn't want two people in the same department that were married, so she had to go. She went and managed the canteen, which used to be on the car park down here. I'll tell you in a minute. And then Brian moved. She got fed of him travelling all around the country. So he came over to design, and he started designing some Action Man stuff. But yeah, it's all, most of it was done in there.